When it comes to general exercise, simply getting into the gym is a victory. Find a fun workout on Instagram or YouTube and do something different every time you go to the gym. This is great for people who are just starting out of the gym. You'll make those newbie gains with a relatively small amount of time, but as time progresses, you'll find that your progress will start to slow, and just doing random workouts didn't quite cut it like it used to. What you need is an intentional, individual, progressive, and measured workout routine. This video is designed to be a resource for those who either don't want to invest in a coach or a trainer, or are simply looking to learn more about creating and running your own training routine. This is my own take on simplifying the process of creating a program as much as possible to hit the bare bones concepts. Now, don't get me wrong, even if you are a beginner, a planned, intentional, individual workout routine is fantastic for you, but it's not quite as important as maybe a little bit down the line in your training career, maybe a few months down the line. I have included some training footage from the past few months for some ambient suffering for your viewing pleasure, but we'll also include visuals of a sample program for you. Now, some real quick terminology. When I refer to the word block, I am referring to a single cycle of training, typically 4 to 8 weeks long. Example, if I am doing a muscle building, aka hypertrophy training block, I will do it for that full duration. That's one block. Every block will end with something called a deload, where you cut volume referring to the sets times the reps, in half for 1 full week to recover. It's supposed to be easy. If you did 2 sets by 10 repetitions of back squat on week 1 of your block, you will do 2 sets by 5 reps on the same exercise, back squat, on your deload that last week of the cycle or the block. When I refer to intensity or load, it's either referring to the percentage of your maximal effort, or more specifically, literally how much weight you are lifting. When I refer to volume, I am talking about your sets times your reps. More sets and or reps equals more volume. At your maximal intensity, you will be at minimal volume because you physically cannot sustain your true maximal effort for more than 1 rep. Make sense? Alright, first things first, write everything down somewhere. Write it all down. Your goals, your training focal points, your weekly training splits and days, even down to the things you do day by day. How heavy your sets were, how many reps you did each set. This will help you understand your own progress and the rate of that progress. Another huge thing, always warm up before your sessions. No matter if it's deload, peaking week, or any other week, always do a warm up. Find a routine that dynamically warms up all major muscle groups like quads, hamstrings, chest, back, and also increases your core body temperature. I also recommend doing some spinal rotations and reflections as well, because really protect your spine, and so doing dynamic spinal warm-ups will also benefit in the long run. Don't have to be super long, no more than 10 minutes. Typically, if you go a little bit longer, no sweat off your back, but actually you will be getting a lot of sweat off your back. Now, here's the question. How do I know if I'm warmed up? How do you know if you're warmed up? Well, ask yourself this. Are you sweating? And have you done a couple of sets of exercises for each major muscle group? If you answered yes, then you're warmed up and ready to go. Sorry, I just burped a few times. Okay, so I have 7 steps to create your own program. Now, we're going to go into more depth in these, but here's the rundown. Set your short-term and smart goals first. Second, determine where you want to start and determine your training focal points. Step 3. Determine how long your blocks will be. Determine which week you will be deloading. Step 4, determine your training split. Step 5, determine which exercises to do and repeat them week to week for the entire duration of the block. Step 6, plug in your sets, reps, and intensity levels for week 1. And step 7, of course, is run your program. Go by week to week. Step 1, setting your short-term and long-term SMART goals. Now, what is a SMART goal? A SMART goal is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, realistic, and time-based. Let's go into more depth. Specific speaks for itself. The more details you have, the better it is for you in the long run. If I want to lose weight, ask yourself how much weight and how am I going to lose weight? If you're not sure of how much you want or are capable of, start small. If you achieve that goal earlier than you expected, up the ante, go up in your goal, challenge yourself even further. Always start small. Measurable. What you need to be able to gauge your progress. If you want to improve your bench press, set a specific goal weight. If you want to gain body weight, set a specific goal body weight. You need to be able to compare your day one to your target date to actually visualize your progress. Attainable or achievable. Is this achievable given the time frame, frequency of training, your own state of being, whether that's physical or mental? A goal can be realistic for you, but not attainable given your training age, base levels of fitness, current state of mind, so forth. Like I just said, gains and adaptations will be fast initially. You'll start seeing changes within the first 4 weeks, given consistency inside and outside of the gym. That means getting plenty of sleep, managing your stress levels, getting a proper diet. Then adaptations after that point will start to slow as your training progresses. Once you get stronger, get faster, go further, you'll be inclined to push past each following threshold as you'll gradually increase the challenge on yourself. You may not know what is attainable when you first start your own program. Like I said before, start small. If you blow your goal out of the water 4 weeks before you expected to, you can always increase your goal at that time. Now, realistic. Think, is this something I can push myself to do? You need to build a habit, no matter what goal you're trying to achieve. Just know that no matter who you are or how trained or untrained you are, there will be rough days or weeks that seem unbearable and make you want to quit. And other times, it may just seem easy. Just know that every individual will progress at different rates. Some people progress faster, some people progress slower. Don't compare yourself to others and stay consistent with your plan. And finally, time-based. Have a start date and have an end date. Know exactly when you want to be at your goal and how long it will take you to do so. My recommended goal duration for SMART-term goals is in the vicinity of 4 to 8 weeks long. You want to achieve that short-term goal within 4 to 8 weeks. And that can coincide with 1 or maybe 2 blocks. All right, now let's give it a few examples. So a long-term goal. Long-term goals may be a little bit less specific, but visualize where you want to be in 1 year. What is your most important priority? And your short-term goal will have more specifics, like what's your split, how many times per week are you working out? These are all things that can change block to block, but are excellent tools to have in your short-term goal. All right, number 2, determine where you want to start and determine your training focal points. No matter what you choose to do, stick with it and stay generally consistent week to week. I would not recommend changing your split or drastically changing the variety of exercises within a single block. Sure, you can switch out a few of your final accessory exercises if you like to week by week. If you don't like something, then find something that's very similar, but switch it out. An example, if you want to switch out dumbbell rows, then replace it with maybe ring rows or some other back and bicep exercise. Your weeks will be guided by intensity. Now, for gauging intensity, the simplest tool to use is a RPE scale of 1 to 10. RPE stands for ratings of perceived exertion. On that scale, 1 stands for no effort at all, 10 stands for maximal effort. You can only do 1 rep before failing. This is your perceived exertion level, perceived, individual, relative to you. You will get better at identifying how hard you are exerting yourself simply by getting familiar with actually pushing yourself. Your set is considered finished when you hit whatever RPE you're at for that week. Here's an example. If I am at RPE 8 for week 3 in a hypertrophy block, then I will choose a weight that will allow me to hit somewhere between 8 to 15 reps. That rep range is what we use for hypertrophy, with my stopping point being once I hit that 8 out of 10. So maybe that's at 12 reps, maybe that's at 13 reps. It's all dependent on your perceived exertion. Week 1 will usually be RPE 6, but most likely it will be RPE 7. Most usually it will be RPE 7. And your final week before deload will be RPE 10. This is my biggest recommendation to you, is to make that final week before the deload RPE 10 maximal effort. For any training focus, hypertrophy, strength, maximal strength, make sure that you achieve somewhere in between your rep ranges while conforming to that set intensity level for that week. It'll go up week by week, but stay focused and stay disciplined not to push too hard, too fast, too early in your routine. I just burped. Excuse me. All right, so hypertrophy, strength, maximal strength, power, cardiovascular conditioning. Note: if you're doing cardio conditioning, low intensity cardio work like walking, very low effort things, that can be combined with any phase. This, like maybe taking walks for 30 minutes per day. This is also an excellent tool to use to contribute to weight loss. If you expend more calories than you take in, you're going to lose weight. Here's a brief description of each of the following that I just described: hypertrophy, strength, maximal strength, power, with variables for each. Now pay attention to specifically the variables. So hypertrophy, moderate to high volume work with small increments of increasing intensity. Increasing volume is the primary focus. Volume is 1 to 4 sets. These are the variables. Volume is 1 to 4 sets of 8 to 15 reps per exercise. Choose a weight where you can hit somewhere in between that rep range of 8 to 15, but still be at your target intensity level. Week by week, you can add on another set or add on a small amount of extra weight, but be wary that as your load increases, being how much weight you lift, you won't be able to match that same volume as you would at lower loads. And remember, volume is our most important part of hypertrophy, more so than intensity, but intensity still does have a role to play. All right, up next, strength. Even though your muscles do get stronger as you increase their actual size in hypertrophy, you need to specifically train force output. Once you make muscles big in hypertrophy, you can directly focus on making them strong in the strength phase. Now, there's greater emphasis on force output rather than massive volume, so our intensity is going up and volume's relatively going down. So we have volume of 3 to 6 sets typically of around 4 to 8 reps per exercise. You can get hypertrophy benefits from doing strength work because we are at a high-ish volume, but of course it's not as effective as developing hypertrophy as actually doing that higher volume work in a muscle building phase. Now for maximal strength, maximal emphasis on generating as much force as possible in very few, if not one single effort. We kind of had the in-between with strength, but this is fully focused on maximal force output under as much load as possible. Volume is 1 to 5 sets of 1 to 4 reps per exercise. You should test your 1 rep max at the end of a maximal strength phase. Power. Now, enhancing rate of force development at low-ish loads is the main focus of a power phase. So get quick under a load. Also has benefits to your ligamentous tissue, connecting your joints and your muscles to bones. Volume is 2 to 6 sets of 1 to 10 reps per set per exercise. This macro cycle that you're going to make, your yearly training plan, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's a yearly training plan. It's going to be very cyclical in nature. What that means is you will develop certain characteristics in one cycle just to complement them in the next cycle. So here are a few options to go for training focus to training focus, block by block. Again, you will likely always start in hypertrophy. All right, so here's my example of where to start and what your training focal points will be. It's around 52 weeks in a year. So this is our macro cycle. This is from day 1 to day 365. So we have hypertrophy, 6 weeks, 5 weeks for strength, and moving on into a very cyclical nature of our plan. And again, this is adhering to our SMART goals. These are our long-term goals and our short-term goals. We want to squat weight in a year, but we also want to lose body weight. Alright, so if you're just trying to get big and strong, hypertrophy into strength, into maximal strength, right back to hypertrophy, cycle it through. If you're trying to get massive, just become a freak beast of muscle, or you're just trying to get a little bit of muscle mass, hypertrophy into another hypertrophy block, back into strength, and then into another hypertrophy block. And then finally, if you're just trying to lose weight, hypertrophy primarily, and just focus on getting 150 to 300 minutes a week of low to moderate intensity aerobic exercise. Simply adding on to that caloric deficit is the most important part if you are trying to lose weight. All right, now step 3, determine how long your blocks will be and determine which week you will be deloading. My recommendation is this: have hypertrophy blocks last 4 to 8 weeks, strength blocks last 4 to 6 weeks, and maximal strength blocks last no more than 5 weeks. At the end of every single block, no matter the training focus, you will need to deload to settle the gains, to accrue the gains you've already been stimulating throughout the past few weeks. Recover. That's the most important part. You can't just drive yourself into the ground. Once you figure out how long your block will last, you will simply plug in your intensity so that week 1 you're at that 7 out of 10 RPE, and then on your final week before the deload, you are at or above the 10 RPE. So if we have a 6-week long block, week 1 and week 2 are RPE 7, week 3 is at RPE 8, week 4 is at RPE 9, week 5 is at RPE 10, and then we deload for week 6. We are in higher RPE for shorter durations. Notice how we were at RPE 7 for week 1 and 2. We are at higher RPE for shorter durations because true peaks in ability cannot be sustained for very long, but it depends on multiple different things. Again, this is just a very simplified route to take. If you want something a little bit more complex, you'll have to do a little bit more research. All right, so here's my example of where to start and what your training focal points will be. It's around 52 weeks in a year. So this is our macro cycle. This is from day 1 to day 365. So we have hypertrophy, 6 weeks, 5 weeks for strength, and moving on into a very cyclical nature of our plan. And again, this is adhering to our SMART goals. This is our long-term goals and our short-term goals. We want to squat weight in a year, but we also want to lose body weight. All right, step 4, determine your training split. The objective is to hit every part of your body in the week, optimally hitting every body part at least twice per week. A split determines how you organize each training day. Here are a few split options: upper, lower, full body, push-pull legs, push-pull, upper, lower. Find a split that works best for your training frequency. If you train twice per week, it's best to do 2 full body splits. One that starts with upper body compounds, the other one that starts with lower body compounds. Woof! Oh my goodness. Oh, it's another burp. Excuse me. If you train 3 times per week, you can do upper, lower, full body, or push-pull legs. Now, you can train legs on your push-pull days with a few accessory lifts if you like, but save your heavy leg day for the leg day in that push-pull leg routine. If you train 4+ times per week, you can do a push-pull, upper-lower routine where you would do upper push day 1, lower push day 2, upper pull day 3, lower pull day 4. Or just simply do both upper body and lower body work, simply doing push day 1, pull day 2, push day 1, pull day 4. Another option is to do two full body sessions, then fill in the rest of your days with either upper or lower days. Here's a 5-day week example: Monday lower, Tuesday full, Wednesday rest, Thursday upper or lower, Friday full, Saturday rest, Sunday upper. Notice how we take a rest day after every full body day. Now on our full body days, we're using a ton of energy. We're going to wear ourselves out, so it's best to take a rest day after those full body days. Always give yourself at least 48 hours between training the same body parts at the same intensities or volumes. Example, if you do a heavy leg workout on Monday, wait until at least Wednesday to do another heavy leg workout. You can change your training frequency and or the split each block, but stay consistent within each block. And now that we've officially determined what our split's going to be. We're going to do a push-pull leg split. This is what a typical week is going to look like. We have very simple split, day 1, day 2, day 3, the 3-day-a-week frequency, and then we have the exercises that we can plug in. All right, step 5, almost there. Determine which exercises to do and repeat them week to week for the duration of the block. My recommendations, every day, no matter the training focus, prioritize compound movements. These multiple joint, heavy, demanding movements and exercises. These are your deadlifts, your back squats, your bench press, your cleans, your overhead press. These are more metabolically and technically demanding movements, and doing them in your latter half of your workout will waste their potential and put you at a risk of injury. For general exercise variety, aim to do 4 to 10 exercises per day. Hit every body part at least twice per week for best results. Do at least 2, at most 5 compound movements in every workout, and then fill in others with accessory lifts. Fill in others with accessory. Do at least 2, at most 5 compound movements in every workout, then fill in the others with accessory lifts. Do more in hypertrophy blocks, 7 to 10 exercises. Do less in maximal strength blocks, 3 to 4. For actual exercise selection themselves, easy Google or YouTube search. You know your split, find the exercises that you enjoy, find things that you're going to like. If you don't like them, don't switch a lot of them out, maybe switch 1 or 2 week by week. No matter what you choose, again, stay consistent week by week so you can get A, better at them, and subsequently become more efficient, and B, directly increase your intensity and volume level on these same exact things. All right, so now we're looking at something that's a little more recognizable as a program. So we have week 1, we have day 1, day 2, day 3. Push exercises are on day 1, our pull exercises are on day 2, and so on and so forth. And you'll notice on day 1 we included lateral squats as an accessory. You can do this absolutely as long as it's not creating soreness and affecting performance in our actual leg day session or even in day 2 session, then that's totally fine. All right, step 6, plug in your sets, reps, and intensity level for week 1. Choose weights that will allow you to hit your designated rep ranges while still ending those sets at whatever RPE you're at. If you fall below a rep range, decrease the rate. If you fly above, increase the weight. Don't repeat sets after you finish your warm-ups. If you just smash your first working set and you're like, well, that didn't really count. Well, I would consider it to count because you still used energy. You want to fatigue yourself still doing that. If you fatigue yourself too much and go a little bit too hard on one day, that may have repercussions for the rest of your workouts during the week. Plug it all in, as we just described, pretty self-explanatory. And then once you get to that deload, cutting volume in half, doing less sets, doing less reps, but you can match the weight you did on week 1. Step 7, now finally, run the program. Actually do the program. Week by week, make every week slightly more challenging than the last by increasing that intensity level. Example, going up from RPE 7 on week 1 to RPE 8 on week 2 by increasing the number of sets and or the load. It's important to stick with your rep ranges. And finally, a bonus, step 8. Choose the next training focal point according to what would best complement your last block, and repeat steps 1 through 7. Again, write everything down. This will help you immensely, and you'll get better with practice and with trial and error. I hope this helps, and if you have any questions or are looking for a coach to do all this for you, please contact me through my email or DM me on Instagram. Link is in bio. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and consider subscribing, and never stop striving for greatness.